The results of the Terra suspect test are in, and you guys will not believe the outcome. So first of all, in case you didn't know, last month, Smogon announced there would be suspect testing Terastallization, meaning they'd hold a community vote to decide whether Terra should be banned or not. Those who were eligible for voting could choose between action, meaning restricting Terra in some way, or no action, meaning Terra should be left as it is. If someone voted for action, they could also decide how exactly they think Terra should be restricted. Of course, they could choose to ban it outright, but they could also choose between options for restricting it in some way, including showing the Terra type of all Pokemon at Team Preview, allowing only one Pokemon on each team to Terastallize, or only allowing Pokemon to Terastallize into one of their pre-existing types. Now, in order for any action to be taken, however, a majority of 60% had to be reached. And this was actually quite a momentous suspect test because it actually broke the record for most number of voters who participated. So voting opened up about a week ago, and now all the votes have been tallied, and by a very, very narrow margin, the majority of 60% was not reached, and therefore Terastallization remains unchanged. Now, as for my thoughts on all this, personally, I wasn't opposed to Terra getting restricted in some way. I definitely didn't want it to get banned outright, but if they limited it to one Terramon per team or showing Terra types at Team Preview or anything like that, then I wouldn't have really minded it. But honestly, I think this outcome is fine. I don't think Terra needed to be banned whatsoever. I did think before Scarlet and Violet came out, and for a little bit after they did, that Terra would probably be overpowered and that it would end up getting banned, just like Dynamax did. But after playing Gen 9 for a bit, now I really don't think it's that overwhelming or that much needs to be done to it, really. I still feel like it might be just a little bit too good, which is why it would have been fine if it got restricted in some way. But seeing the meta evolve and watching people adapt to Terra, I think it's in a fine spot right now, honestly. And yeah, I'm not upset with the result of this test. That being said, however, I don't think it would be a bad idea to actually retest Terra again at some point in the future, specifically after Pokemon Home comes out. And especially considering how close this vote was, like they said, it was by less than 1%. I don't think it would be a bad idea at all. After a bunch of old Pokemon come back and change up the meta, I think it would make sense to come back and sort of re-examine Terra and see if people's thoughts on it have changed with the new Pokemon coming back. I do know some people think it's kind of dumb that Smogon would suggest banning Terra when it's the main mechanic of Gen 9, but I don't really think those arguments make a lot of sense, because you could have said the same thing for Dynamax in Gen 8, but D-Max was very clearly broken and had no place in a competitive meta. And regardless of what you thought of Gen 8 comp, whether you liked it or not, I don't think you can really argue that keeping Dynamax around would have made things better. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have this sort of open discussion about this sort of stuff. And it's not like Smogon is making all these decisions themselves. They're letting the player base vote on what should be done. So if people feel like the mechanic is too strong, then we can restrict it somehow. And if people think it's not an issue, then we can just leave it as it is, like we just did. So I don't think most people want Terra to be flat out banned at all. So I really don't think that's something to worry about happening in the future at some point. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the result of this suspect test. I would also love to hear your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comments. And while you guys are down there, I would also really appreciate it if you leave a like on this vid, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.